This is the beginning of the end. On June 4th, 2023, at 4:18 p.m. and 44 seconds, I began to write as I relived my traumas. My first sentence: I'm a reviver because I relive, I let go, and I begin again. My first conscious memory was of my Uncle BJ. He was a well built black man, wielded a shotgun over my head as he flung open the door of my grandparents' duplex. I was about 2 or 3 years old. This was my very first memory. Uncle BJ was in a rush to get outside and he was angry. I remember feeling the wind from his coat jacket as it lightly brushed my cheek. I distinctly heard the racking of a shotgun, and his powerful voice startled me as he yelled, "I'm going to kill them motherfuckers." I later learned that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had just been shot. The screen door slammed in my face, but strangely enough, I didn't startle, I didn't cry. I only startled at my uncle's voice, at his pain, at his anger, because of what had happened to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I remember just standing there, gazing through the screen door with the eyes of a toddler. I saw people of all ages and sizes, all shades of black. Some were crying, others were screaming in agony and pain. And there were those that were like me, that were just silenced by the pain of others. I was too young to process any emotions at that time, but I was aware enough to feel their pain. I am sure that I had been well familiar with releasing my energy by whining and crying and throwing a temper tantrum. But I also felt nervous. I felt helpless. I felt vulnerable for the first time in my life as a toddler. I did not understand anger and rage. I did not understand why it swept through my community like that because of the murder of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I didn't understand how to process trauma. My next conscious memory was shortly after that. I continued to live with this memory. It's like a dark, creeping shadow that comes into my bedroom, pushing me, waking me, shaking me, covering me, blinding my thoughts. I couldn't speak very well when my trauma began. All I remember is that his penis was shoved inside my tiny vagina. I was about 2 or 3 years old. I remember struggling quietly through the pain as while I could only pronounce 2 words not very clearly. It hurt. I repeatedly kept saying, it hurt. It hurt. In a child's voice. He never said a word. He just kept penetrating me. And damn it, yes, it hurt then, and it still hurts now. June 4th, 2023, 4:32 p.m. at 2 seconds. I began to write again after I had to step away from that memory. I continued and wrote. It happened repeatedly to me on my bed, in that room, in the dark. His perverted shadow engulfed my tiny body, and I didn't know who he was. To this day, I don't know if he was a blood relative or a family friend that they call cousin T. That's what comes to my mind. Or if it's someone that crept in my bedroom. I have no idea. But I do know that he shook my shoulders and he shushed me, told me to be quiet. He pulled my ruffled panties down to my knees. He unzipped his pants and he took my innocence in the dark. In that room, on that bed, he repeatedly molested me when I was a toddler. When he did it to me, I subconsciously drifted into a mental black hole until it was over. So I can't give you any details because my mind was dark. This happened for a period of time, and I really don't know how long. The last time I remember it happening to me was in my bedroom next to a Hasbro Easy Bake Oven set. My guesstimation is I may have been 6 or 7 years old at that time. I believe it was Cousin T, but I'm not sure because I still get an eerie feeling 50 years later whenever he shows up at family events. Cousin T today is one of the most liked members of the family. He comes to family gatherings with his sly grin and homemade barbecue sauce. Whenever he looks my way, I can see his guilt. I sure can. I can tell by the way he looks away that he knows that I still remember. My skin crawls when our eyes meet. My throat fills up and I can't hardly breathe. I have to get away from him when he shows up. I was too young to comprehend what I was experiencing in those moments, but I know it was horrific. It was perverted, and I later found out that it actually was a crime. It happened in my bedroom, right next to my parents' room. My room was on the left. Their room was on the right. It happened on the fourth floor of the Rainwater Projects. I did not know how to tell, nor who would listen to me, because I didn't have enough words in my vocabulary to express myself at that time. I do recall my mother bathing me and my paternal grandmother bathing me. And I do remember telling them, as I told my traumatizer, it hurt. It hurt when they wiped me. It hurt when they put me in the water. They heard me, my mother and my grandmother, but they didn't respond. They just kept washing me, telling me it's going to be okay. They were washing me as if they were washing away the sin. Cousin T has a profitable business now. And yes, I could file a lawsuit and possibly gain a huge settlement. But a cash money settlement won't ever erase the memories that are seared in my mind. Anyway, the horrors associated with providing what happened to me are more likely to outweigh the reward. So I just decided to tell it. I was apprehensive about telling it because I knew if I spoke this truth, that I would be blamed and scrutinized for taking so long to share my story of this crime. For years, I didn't cry for help. I just kept silent. I didn't cry because nobody seemed to care. They didn't care then, so why would they care now? I didn't tell because, no, I don't remember every detail. I don't remember what he was wearing. I don't know if he wore jeans or slacks or a belt. I don't know what kind of underwear he had, what color they were. I don't know what kind of shoes he wore. I don't know if he had a shirt on or off. I don't remember what color any of his clothing was. All I know is that he repeatedly molested me in that room. I can't describe his facial features. I know he looked at me. I know he looked at me when he repeatedly violated me over a number of years. But my memory has so suppressed this event that I'm still confused as to who did it. But I know it was done. I may not be able to provide all the details required to win a lawsuit or to convince someone that I'm telling the truth. But my molester, he knows. And I know. And the only thing that matters to me right now is my truth.